Great to be here. I'll try and make this interesting. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. If you're into VOD or metadata, this could be quite dull. This is about live. We haven't probably talked that much about live at this show. I've been to quite a few sessions, and most of the talk has been around VOD. I'm going to talk about live, particularly around scaling up live, which is in itself is a bit of an unusual concept, because if you were going to scale up live in conventional linear TV channels, you would add another channel. But of course, we're not in a linear world anymore, and there's no reason at all why live needs to be treated in a linear way. So first of all, I'll forgive you if you don't know who Perform are. I didn't when I first met them. I know Clive knows them very well. There's a few faces here I recognise. But unless you're involved in sport and sports TV, you may never have heard of us, but you might have heard of some of our brands. The brands, the one most people are talking about right now is D-A-Z-N, pronounced DAZN. That's how the kids are saying it, apparently. And that's a non-linear, live sports, direct-to-consumer offering from Perform. First time we've gone direct-to-consumer. It's a lot of live sport, currently launched in Japan and in the DACH, German, Austria region, but coming to a country near you soon. We've got a gaming division, we've got a media division and a content division. I won't go into too much detail on it because it's corporate slides. We've got people who work for us, we've got sports that we cover, we've got a lot of clients, we do a lot of stuff, and we're good at it, I think. We do 7.5 million VOD clips. Is that a year? Quite a lot. 12 petabyte, that's shocked me, that's a big number, of CDN traffic. Akamai like us very much. We do 25,000 live events per year, which is just under 100 concurrent events, and this is where scale starts becoming kind of key for Perform. Doing 100 at once is pretty challenging. And also, it's challenging over a global picture as well. So we've got to deal with this over pretty large territories. Our basic operation is heavily networked. So we have areas where we ingest sport. And some years ago, it was my role really was to create this sort of global network, this global WAN, multicast enabled, and to really try and leverage as much as we can from IP workflows as opposed to the existing legacy, which was all SDI-based workflows. Having IP-based enabled us to reduce our costs because we didn't have to lock ourselves into a facility, a downlink facility owned by somebody else with all their SDI infrastructure going into our encoding infrastructure. We could take satellite from our own contribution centres in different places. There's one down there in Uruguay, which was our first one away from the UK. We have one in Northern Ireland, which is a bit of a strange place to put it, but it was someone's good idea at the time, I'm sure. One thing you want from satellite is somewhere that's not particularly cloudy, rainy, or windy. But there you go. So then we moved to Cyprus, much nicer there, and we can see a quite a nice bit of sky there. And we've got operation now in Japan as well. But we're finding more and more of our content coming into our data centers direct. So we can have a combination of ingest from IP directly from our partners or from satellite. This is basically Perform in a sort of simplified picture. It's a machine. You put sports rights in at one end and you get products out the other. Another way of expressing that is you put money in one side and you try and get more money out the other end. That's the basic idea of Perform. Seems obvious, isn't it? But sometimes you can forget this stuff. So these are some of the brands that you might have come across. I expect a lot of you have heard of Opta before. Yeah, it's pretty well known in the sports industry for sports data. To generate sports data, we had to have analysts who can see lots of TV. So that content from that previous map is available within the organization and any of those yellow dots on that map, which enables the sports analysts to actually watch our content and eat our own dog food, as they say. ePlayer is quite a well-known brand as well. That's in lots of, that's a VOD offering and given to lots of different newspapers like New York Times and Daily Mail, and it's a contextual system that reads the news articles and tries to match up some sports articles, and that's all ad-funded. Spox.com, Goal.com. Goal's quite good. Anyone likes soccer, football here? Got 1 or 2, that's good. We go to these geek places, you don't get very many put hands in here. I don't, but that's okay. No one from Perform here, so I can say that. Gold.com is quite good, and as a TV person, you might want to go and look at it on a Thursday, particularly on their Facebook page, because it's a good example of some of the other sessions that are going on around live TV and changing live TV, and they're doing a live show on Facebook which drives people to the Gold brand called Studs Up, and it's really good. You should watch it. Sporting News, well-known American brand, Women's Tennis Association, WTA, and FIBA. These are all primary rights that we hold. We break those into different areas. So I've mentioned on the on-demand side, we've also got lots of live content for web, and we've also got live content for live. The one in the corner there called PSE, that's not the right logo, I just couldn't find one in time. It's the Perform Sports Cloud, and it's really being able to join with us as a partner on that map you saw earlier. So if you're a broadcaster, you want to get hold of some of the rights and some of the contents that we have, we can give you that by connecting you to the PSC. Now here's the problem. This is the thing we're trying to deal with. There's no holy cows in Perform, and everything's changing so fast. We've got to make sure that we are able to respond to changes and demands from or I have to be able to change response to demands from these guys, these product owners. The conventional way of doing things was to have a mezzanine format, a mezzanine standard within the company, a standard high-quality content which any of these brands could take and turn into individual products. So that's about really creating lots and lots of little factories, little processes to take in that content and to monetize it. And it does create issues around scale and certainly issues around cost, because you're actually duplicating things quite a lot. You could create a content for WTA using hardware or workflows which might be redundant for 6 months of the year and could also be used by somebody else perhaps. Maybe Omnisport could use it. You might be making some content for our Watch and Bet, which is a live, quite low quality, very low latency stream that maybe DAZN could be using. So there's lots of potential duplication in this model, and duplication means costs. Everything we duplicate, it's not just about the CapEx, it's the OpEx, it's the maintenance, it's the support, and it's the operation of the thing. So here's a new idea. This is work in progress, so we're showing you something we're doing now. It is actually running, but it does change some of the really things which have become so standard and ubiquitous across the industry. And the concept, I've called it, is the adaptive mezzanine set. So rather than having a single mezzanine, there's a bunch of them. That is really kind of a misuse of the word mezzanine. Okay, but the concept is that we have a bunch of mezzanines that we can use multiple times. And let me just go through it a little bit in a bit of detail. So what we've got here is an encoder. So the factory here shows me that it's actually taking in a contribution IP source, and we're encoding to a bunch of different formats. So at the very, very top quality, it could be a broadcast quality, that's going to go into our automation system that's going to be delivering something to a client on the Perform Sports Cloud. So he's not going to be interested in any of the other streams. He just wants that top quality broadcast stream, and that's it. That's kind of conventional. The automation is an IGMP join. Because it's an IP network, it's a multicast network, the automation is saying to the Perform Sports Cloud client, come and get this content at this quality, at this multicast address, this port number, from this device at this time. So the automation is really quite a simple task. We're not having to route anything. It's actually a pull from the client side, as opposed to us pushing something to them. Another example, Omnisport. They are a VOD delivery system, so they record everything to hard drive. I can talk for Britain. What's the time? Give me a nod when am I all right? Okay, I better hurry up. Omnisport's a VOD system, so they're going to want to pull that content and record it, maybe into the air speeds. Maybe they want to clip it and produce some news from it. Watch and Bet, I mentioned before, is a betting service. They want live sports to give to the betting partners. Companies like Bet365 or whoever, and they're going to want to have the lower latency but high speed content. It's all coming from the same contribution, from the same encoder, but each individual client is pulling the different sources it requires. they're not going to have to encode it again, they're going to have to package it. So for watch and bet, for an example, that's going to need to be chunked for the low latency product and delivered in the right format for that product to work with. DAZN, they can probably use some of the watch and bet contents at the lowest side of the ABR, but higher up they want to have some really, really high quality content, they'll take the higher ones. Maybe not the top quality ones because they're contribution, but they're all joining exactly the same streams from a single encoder and it's being multi-purposed. So multi-purposing it not just for individual devices, as is quite conventional, but we're actually multi-purposing it for individual products, and the devices comes later. And this allows us to really scale up in quite a big way. So every single event that we do, that's up to 100, requires one encoder to produce a unlimited, really, number of products from it. And this allows us to really scale both sides of the equation, not scaling just the number of live events, but the number of products we can create from those live events. Okay. How do we do it? Well, I think I've just said that, really. I probably should have said that with this slide on screen. Might have been a bit more useful. But that's just showing us again that we've got a gateway device that's actually tuning into the DVB MPEG-2S, so that's actually an already encoded stream. We are then enabling specific PIDs from that transport stream to specific clients, and really getting down to some detail here. Some PIDs, some clients might be paying for subtitles. Some clients might be paying for the video plus a French audio mix. Another client might want to have exactly the same event, but I'd like to have the English audio mix, please. So again, we're using exactly the same stream, one time, one encoder, making a big transport stream, and then individualizing it for our customers through our IP gateway device. And all that's doing is simply looking at the transport stream, and the automation is allowing through that system the correct PIDs. We're using the Appear TV chassis for that. Another example here for DAZN, same idea. We're taking in the same TS, and that product requires a segmentation and just-in-time packaging. So what we're doing with DAZN is we're taking the standard feed and segmenting it for HLS delivery or dash delivery, and then we're packaging it based on the client's geolocation. So if they are in Japan, they're not going to want to have the German language, and if they're in German, they're not going to have the Japanese language. So they're going to be just getting the manifest files created with the right audio corresponding to that client's preferences or down to the rights of that property. The next thing we can do with that, of course, is regionalize the halftime show as well. So the other concept there is to, it's still a bit work in progress, is to, when we get to the halftime mark, to be able to drop in some regionalized content for Japanese customers, rather than everyone watching just English. And lastly on this little piece here is how we are able to work with the multilingual requirements. So what we do in a conventional workflow is we join the IGMP, we join the source, we decode the audio and the video. The audio is then encoded with a mix of commentary and then all muxed together into a single transport stream. This is looking at kind of complicated, but it isn't really. We're joining the IGMP, we're decoding it, and we're exporting it as a uncompressed audio, PCM audio of its own. So it's a transport stream of its own. It's going into a IP-defined audio mixer. The commentator can also join the IGMP and see the same video that we're seeing and encoding. They can then commentate on it. Their return audio goes in onto a specific language-based PID, gets encoded and added into the MUX. So providing there's a good level of automation over that, we can scale that massively. And we've got our internal test streams currently running with 100 different audio mixes inside a single transport stream. We never give 100 outside, so if you're a hardware or software vendor going, I can't take 100 transport streams, don't worry, it's just internal. The distribution bit from the previous slide would select which of those audios we'll be giving through to the next stage. So in summary, how am I doing for time? Am I doing good? Yeah. So in summary, Perform Core provides all the encoding service essentially, and we're trying very hard to reduce duplication of business and trying to make sure that as much value can be squeezed out of every single billion that our owners spend on rights. That's it. Thank you.